welcome to the Old Stoneys podcast. Justin McDonald along with Matt Crissione at his home base. You got quite that little thing going on there, Matt. You got some dope posters. Do you have any weed plants in there?
Not inside right now, no. I usually do the outdoor thing.
Gotcha.
Weed posters came from when Dope Magazine closed down their offices. I went in there and raided.
That's awesome. Well, we're here for another great episode of the Old Stoneys podcast, which can be heard on talkcastpdx.com and watched at talkcastpdx.com, and then heard on all the channels you can get, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. We're out there. And then also our friends at aftermath.fm. We'd like to thank them as well. We'd like to thank PDX Labs and Ideal Cannabis. They're sponsoring our wear today. Looks good. And joining us via Zoom, and he's already in progress, hitting it up, is our friend John Bays from Green Bodhi. Hello.
Hey, what's up? How you guys doing?
Good.
John. Thanks for coming in, man.
Dude, we're psyched. I'm always psyched to be a part of these kind of things, especially with you guys.
Well, I
think my first podcast was with you, maybe.
Yeah, it was. We were at Oregon's Finest. Remember, we had a little set there that had a little green symbol for weed, the little medical symbol, and we had chairs there, and it was a good time. And we just started doing some podcasts then, and John was our first interview, I believe. Second interview. I think Michael Fox was snuck in there somehow at that point in time.
Michael Fox, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Well, our first talk with Michael, we never even recorded the damn thing. We forgot to hit record or the equipment failed. And Mike and I could go on for hours, and it was a great conversation. Nobody heard it.
Yeah. It was one of those parts of the learning curve of the podcasting thing. I'd been in broadcasting for a long time, but I'd never done a lot of air shifts completely baked out of my gourd before. So I had to kind of, get used to doing everything that way. But, we welcome you to the program. Looks like you're indulging. What are you indulging on, if you don't mind me asking?
I just bred this strain for me and a friend of mine, Bodhi seeds, plant more seeds. We've been doing a couple collabs and stuff in the last few years. And then I basically took the GMO. He gave me the ancient OG males I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago or 4 years ago or something. So I threw those at a bunch of things, and one of them being the GMO and another being the pine sol that he gave me, is special cut of goji. And this was just the selection out of a few seeds. I usually do about 10 seeds when I'm trying to select, because if I can't find a winner out of those 10, I don't want to release it, basically. So I'm not the type to do 100 seeds, see if I can find a winner. If I can't find one in 10, I'm like, oh, this is a monk one.
Yeah, no good.
Throw it up against the wall and see what sticks, man.
I mean, that's just kind of my style. I'm not a breeder, so I guess I'm more, I think maybe more of a selector than a breeder.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
I'm a good pollen chucker. I can chuck some. I can chuck some pollen. That's for fucking sure, But I think the real game of breeding, really, if you're not a true breeder, someone that's studied and knows everything about how genetics work, and like a true geneticist to some degree. Right. These self-proclaimed breeders in the industry, it's a pretty funny thing. I think that a lot of the more intellectuals in the industry, but it's all good, but I guess for me personally, I've been lucky with this plant, and devoted my life to this plant since a long time. So I think that we know this plant has some special qualities and some esoteric qualities, and I mean, I guess enough for people to treat it like a god and to hypnotize the entire planet right now. So it has something on us, the human culture. So that being said, I saw what it did for me in my life, and how it's altered my me wanting to basically kill people to me wanting to help people in a different kind of way.
Nice.
So
right on.
I hear that.
It's like
I hear that though. I mean, I use it for I started. I didn't really start using cannabis regularly until after high school, and I was an adult, and I was already in the world. I had tried it, and I grew up around it. I grew up in Alaska. It was everywhere. everybody grew what they could when they could, and so on and so forth. And I knew these things, but it was still one of those things like, oh, I'll sneak off and, get high. But nowadays it's more just therapeutic wise. And it also helps keep me centered. So I look at it that way, because when I'm not, using cannabis, I can be a pretty edgy guy. I can be pretty intense, pretty serious. Matt's seen that before, where like in business or something, and then I get all just like, oh, and then I get riddled with anxiety, and I learned to control that with cannabis. But John,
it's a really amazing, I guess, flow state inducer, and it seems like it's really one of its special qualities is to get us to be present and not be attached to the past or future to some degree, which create depressions and anxieties and stuff like that. So
at that point I read some studies about some they did some research, and they did a long-term study on people who were under the age of 18 who smoked cannabis into their late 20s. It was like a 10-year study, and the 28-year-old guy who had been smoking cannabis since he was like 15 or 14 felt like he was still 18. He still acted like he was, kind of, 18-ish, like he was never going to die, like never get old type of situation. And it was real interesting to see that, because I know people like that. They're 50 years old.
You're looking at one.
Yeah, if I'm 50, I still think I'm 30. I don't feel 50 at all, other than, a brand new hip, other than that. But these interesting studies in cannabis, and I always tell my kids, just wait until you're a little older, till you're 21, please. You can try it. You can try it. Just don't
I was in college. I didn't do any of that crap when I was in high school, but it really came on for me after my 13 years climbing trees around high voltage power lines. I used it for pain management, because I didn't want to be taking 800 milligrams of Advil every freaking night just to be able to go to sleep. So, for me, I recreated with it at first when I was younger, but as I got older, I came back to it and used it for more of pain management. So everyone's got their own personal journey. John, how did you get on your cannabis path? I mean, how did you get into all this?
Well, like I was saying, when I was younger, I didn't smoke herb, but I had quite a few experiences with cannabis. One time when I think I was 5 or 6, I was in Nebraska, and these plants were in this dude's backyard, and they were just like, they were just like calling to me, So me and my homie, my friend, neighbor kid that lived across the alley, I jumped. I mean, I'm sure I was the one that instigated it, but we jumped the fence and ripped all the plants out of the ground and took them back to my house and put them in one of those old blue plastic swimming pools, little ones. The ones we mix dirt in and mix shit in, and like classic now, or whatever years ago. But so I put them all in there, filled it with water, and then me and my friend were just like tromping around in there. And my dad comes, and military guy, what the fuck? We're like, oh. So that was my first experience of the plant, like calling out to me. I guess the next time I was 10 in Eugene, and my friend's dad had all these plants in his backyard, like probably a half acre, and they're just, it was really interesting with this plant, because no one ever told me that this was this plant that did this thing and whatever, but it always had intrigued me even just by sight. So so in this backyard he had all these plants, and then he had a shed where he's drying it, and I remember it was right by Beltline and Delta Highway where they connect, and now there's a housing tract there or whatever, but I remember he fucking had a whole backyard full, and we didn't take the plants out of the drying plants out of the shed. We just took them out. I just ripped some plants off ripped some stuff off the plants, took them into my house, dried them on this foil on my roof, and just like speed dried that shit. And then I went and cut a piece of bamboo and left the segments on, but it was green. So I drilled holes in it, made my own pipe, I mean, this is just off of intuition. I hadn't seen this. My dad's like military, doesn't fucking smoke weed, nothing, it was like very square in the sense of that context. He grew up outside Benito when he was a kid. So his brother, and anyway, but that being said, so that was my second experience. And then, a couple times in like middle school, a couple times in high school, me and my buddies would like smoke weed and box at lunch, at school, and like did some classes, But other than that, I didn't really smoke that much herb until I was out of high school. And then I 18, started smoking herb, trying acid, doing everything else. And then like, realized I had to smoke quite a bit. So then I had to buy an ounce and get rid of 3/4 so I can get a free quarter. And then, then you do that with a 1/4 pound, and then you do it with a 1/2 pound, and then you're like, oh, then I got more than, how it goes. It went like that, So, and more my thing was, when I moved to Eugene, it really, it was just culture here, like I lived here when I was younger, but when I came back here when I was 23, it's just
the culture shifted at that time. Yeah.
So 98, late 90s, it was pretty much,
How's Eugene nowadays? I mean, Portland has its troubles and our issues here. I mean, how's Eugene doing?
It's Eugene. It's awesome, man.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not like Portland, that people care about the city here.
That's cool.
That's good.
They don't care about anyone up in Portland except themselves for the most part. It seems like so.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I was just talking to somebody this other day, and I was saying, look, when I came here in 2015, right at the beginning of 2015 to work, it was awesome. It had this great vibe. Cannabis.
That was right at the end, bro.
Yeah, I got here right as the death march was happening, and I was like, "Damn it, I missed it." At least I got to take it for like a year or two, and then it kind of just all disappeared.
Still got the best food in the world, in my opinion. For restaurants, for like,
is extremely good. But
so it's like
I've only got down there a couple times. The Eugene area, actually, it's
amazing. Like it hasn't changed much. Yeah, it hasn't changed much over the years. The homeless scene's like pretty much the same as it's been forever. It kind of got a little more these last couple of years, but they make areas for the people, and they have outhouses there, and they like clean up every day. And it's not like it's not like the I-5 up in Portland, or the 405 or the 205 or the
it's getting really bad. I noticed it's getting really bad the other day. I was like, geez, there's like 4 burnt out, motor homes, and they're covered in tinfoil.
Cars parked up in the islands.
Yeah, you're like, how the hell they do that? I mean, there's some intuition. He's got time to stack rocks, and make these rock formations, but no time to go find a custodian job or some shit to help,
Well,
I don't want to get on
sober,
people.
You gotta be sober,
you on meth at work.
Yeah, they don't let you be on meth at work. But I mean, not to make too light of it. I mean, but I always go back to the point: all the city leaders and all the county leaders and all the bullshit and their fancy degrees and all this shit, and they can't solve shit. And we know.
Well, because they don't have much empathy, bro, and they really are. It's how it is. We saw with legislation and everything, helping with the state, how I got a real good view of how it worked. And how it, what was paid, what wasn't, what they cared about, how it's all kind of a facade and a mask to something deeper that's like out of our control, really, So once I saw that from my own view, going all the way up to the Capitol in DC and everything, I was like, okay, just like you thought. It's just like you thought.
Yeah. No, yeah. So going back, you started your journey. How did you decide that, look, this is what I'm going to do? This is it. I'm going to grow cannabis. I'm going to breed cannabis.
My last job, I was bartending and bar manager at this place in Eugene called Excelsior, like a nice Italian restaurant downtown, down by the campus, and I was just like, all these like, a lot of people, logger families, whatever, that come in and just like, so rude, I was getting so frustrated, and I was growing at that time, and I was just like, you know what? I'm done with this, and then I'm just going to do this thing. And at that point, it was more just haphazard, you know what I mean? Like 2 lights to 4 lights to 8 lights, you know what I mean? It wasn't like
building on building.
I kept pretty mellow, though. I still am pretty mellow with things, I wasn't ever that guy that just blew it up. Really, in Eugene, I was basically selling headies to all the growers that were selling weed back east, so they were buying weed for me to smoke,
When did you start? I've seen some of your Instagram videos of the slow motion of the pollen flying off the brush. When did you start to actually become a breeder? Because this is.
I'm not a breeder.
Well, I'm. You know what I mean? A selector, a finisher.
I've been putting pollen on plants for like, 18 years or something.
Because that was something I know. Being a grower back in the '90s, if there was a male, it had to go. It had to go quickly and with some force. But it a lot of these strains that we have came from the genetics that you guys pioneered back in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, man, it's really interesting because Eugene was quite a blessing, really, because of our genetic pool that we had here. So I just kind of lucked out. I didn't like, you know, in my first real grow, you have Big Sur Holy, Trinity, Blueberry Trin, IDK, which is a strain I don't know. It was like an Afghani skunk strain, you know, like when that's what you're starting with, you know, you're like, gives you a big perspective of what shit should look like, you know, because when you're like, all those clones now would still be in the elite market, you know, like hands down. Because I mean, the Big Sur that we had running around Eugene here was, I mean, still one of the best strains to me that I've ever seen. And that's why I created the Hazy Kush to kind of mimic that, you know. And the Hazy Kush was a selection that matched to that high, and it kind of matched certain aspects of it that, you know, I mean, to where Hazy Kush is still my favorite strain, and the strain that I'll always have one going of because of the style of high and what it offers the headspace, you know. But like realistically, when things started, they're kind of haphazard, or they're kind of like, oh, you got a male, so I'll just keep it because why not? And then you're like, oh, right. You know, it's like it wasn't really you know, it was intentional that you wanted to create something for yourself new outside the box. That was kind of how it started for me, is like a lot of these strains that I'm growing from other well, when I'm growing from other people, and when I try other people's stuff, I don't really find much out of it that really cuts through what I need. So when your gene pool you're working with is all in the upper tier of elite genetics, right? And then you're selecting stuff with your type of selection, intuition, and process, and just your own bioassay, what I like, what I want, what I see. And if things like cannabis have been in my life since I was 5 years old, calling me over the fence, I have some type of thing that I'm seeing that maybe is unique to me, you know, not that it's special or anything, but it's just unique to me and how I see. And when I see a plant that I'm usually going to keep, I can notice it in like early veg form, you know. The way it's like, I don't know, it just has
it gives off a certain aura for you. Right?
Has something, you know,
giving off something there, something there.
You know, what's funny is people are like, oh, what books have you read? What have you studied about what are breeding, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know, I majored in geology and psychology, and you know, probably took enough classes to get like 3 degrees really, you know, but because I just took everything I wanted at U of O, and I was just like doing that thing, you know. But that being said, I haven't read one book on breeding, cultivation, nothing. The only book I've actually read on plants outside of normal scientific stuff is The Secret Life of Plants, you know, which is kind of, you know, it's like a, you know, woo-woo book, you know. Like,
the book I've ever read on growing plants is Teeming with Microbes from
that's a good one, you know?
From Lowenfels. He got me hooked. He got me hooked way back when on organic growing.
Yeah, I
whether it be my yard or whatever, you know.
I discovered that on my own, through my own gut. And like, you can see that these mirrors that are, you know, if you take your stomach and you know, figure out how that works, then you take the soil and you figure out how that works, and you see its relation. They're pretty similar, you know. So when you start to be able to utilize that understanding and everything, okay, what do you need? Enzymes and microbes to break shit down, period, you know. Like period, you know. So then you add those things, you know. This is like, that's how we grew in Eugene, you know, like, because we have Down to Earth, and that's where we're getting our stuff. There was this dude Carl there that I'd go in there, you know, this guy, he retired now, but you know, I was like, hey, what's up, Carl? You know, he's, oh, what's up? He's all, what do you got going? Oh, I'm growing basil, tomatoes, peppers, all this stuff, you know. He's all, oh, yeah, whatever. And then we'd start talking about certain things, and you know, you realize when compost tea hit the market, you know, in late 90s, early 2000s, you just figure out what that was, and then you can. Now we have a lot of things like with EM and certain stuff that, I mean, you can digest your organics like almost like conventionals, you know. So.
Yeah. Well, just so people know, this is the Old Stoneys podcast. You're listening to it on Talkcast PDX and on Aftermath.fm or wherever you listen to podcasts. And we got John Bays from Green Bodhi with us. Now, you've been kind of jet setting a little bit. We both follow you on social media. It's hard not to, because you always post such great stuff.
Thank you.
But you've been out doing business. What are you seeing out there? What kind of activity. I mean, everybody's bitching about the price of weed in Oregon, and I've seen a lot of this on Instagram. A lot of people, I don't know how to.
A lot of people need to grow better weed, I think.
Yeah, grow better weed.
You know what I'm
They're
saying?
getting called out by ex-employees and all kinds of crazy shit on social media. I'm watching it unfold, and I'm like, what is going on? People have just, what happened to just talking face to face your problems? And it's just pretty bad. But everybody's talking about, you know, certain people ruining the weed markets and so on and so forth. I think it's all
no one can ruin the weed market.
Yeah.
You know what ruined the weed market? Greed.
Yeah.
You know,
I was going to ask you what's your opinion on what everybody's saying.
Yeah.
I think everybody's immature, and I think everybody doesn't know the full story to everything, and they should keep their mouth shut. You know, it's like a fucking snitch culture right now, and it's pathetic. That's kind of what I feel. But
I absolutely fucking agree with you. Yeah, you know, kids, don't be talking shit about your companies after you leave. This is a very small community. Nobody will touch you.
I don't care what the wrong was or what beef you had. There is nothing that merits being a fucking baby.
Well, dude, you see these people like big time breeders that everyone's jocking right now, tagging like the FBI and the fucking DEA, tagging them in people's fucking Instagram streams, dude. Like literally, like breeders that everyone's like, oh, this guy's so cool. Dude, do you guys not remember last year the dude tagged the FBI and DEA in someone's stream because they had a legal beef or something? Yeah. That's fucking snitching, yo. So like, I don't know. I think the industry is kind of, as a whole, there's a lot of good people in it, but they're just not at the right seat at the table. And the people that have the seat at the table are pretty much, you know, a lot of them are self-centered egomaniacs, just rocking rock wool and salt cubes, you know. So it's like, you know, like
from what I've seen, the people with the loudest mouth tend to see the seat at the table, and that's not necessarily meaning that they're doing a good job or making a good product.
No,
they're just being loud and garnering all this stupid freaking attention and beefing back and forth, and it's useless. It's counterproductive.
Yeah, very much. You know, so for me, like what I've been seeing is that what we've been really like accepted everywhere we've been going. You know, I've noticed that. But I think what we're bringing is a little bit different. Not to say we're, you know, it's better or worse. It's just different. You know, we've thrived and held an organic seat for decades now, so it's like that's how we know how to do it. We know how to do conventionals too. It's very easy, you know, because it's like reactive farming. It's not predictive, you know. With organics, you have to understand the digestion rates, how everything breaks down and metabolizes and everything. And when you know that and you can predict what you're doing by what you've done for the last 20 years more, then it's really easy to know how much 15 milliliters of a certain type of, you know, guano or a certain type of whatever breaks down, how long it breaks down, how many waters it takes to break it down, how when it starts to activate, how long it activates, and how long that build up on top of your entire biome build up. You know, there's a lot to that. And if you don't know how it works, then good fucking luck. You know, we're going to be done with the cannabis industry before you know how to grow organic.
We've been doing this. Cannabis has been Oregon's #1 cash crop since the 1980s.
For sure.
The amount of wealth that we
more than cranberries?
That's a fact, guys. It has been since the 80s.
I live in hazelnut country, so and grapes. I live in wine country, so it's hazelnuts, hops, and grapes, and weed. Now I know there's really good weed.
It used to be wheat, but then cannabis took over, and you know, we have a wealth of information and history. I would put Oregon weed up against anybody's shit.
Even the mids, Oregon mids
if I
is better,
pick my growers, I will put I'll put your guys' stuff up against anybody else's in the country on the planet.
You know what we've seen is that everywhere in the country, from the Emerald Cup, from Vegas to New York, when I bust out the jars, I don't notice anyone else busting out jars. That's one thing. You know, so like, and when I'm giving everyone herb, you know, the Emerald Cup, there's like, I gave out, you know, a pound, just hooked up friends and whatever jars. And like the word on the street was that we had the best herb at the whole Emerald Cup, and we didn't compete. We don't compete in contest at all. And we're not into that thing. But what we do is like, we have some really good people with really huge hearts. They really care, doing a really consistent SOP that's like all organic and really easy. And You know, I think that combo is what people are missing here. If you don't have someone that really cares and gives their all managing the plants, you know, and like really giving that vibe and really have committed their life to the plant, good luck getting the best, you know, good luck getting that top tier herb, you know. And even if you're,
I've worked at places that have had the growers button heads with the corporate guys looking at the bottom line, and you know, they never get along. Good weed is not cheap. Cheap weed is not good.
And that's what we're trying to really show is that high level boutique organic herb, it's different. Hey, guess what? You notice when you smoked that joint and you smoked it all the way as far as you wanted, you didn't have any like weird shit at all, and it was really still tasted good. You know, that wasn't because it was some hydro salt grown, you know. No. Like I can't even smoke that shit, bro. Like I couldn't even, like one time I don't want to say the company because they're a really huge company, but they gave me some nugs, and I was like, talking to my buddy on Jose in Peru, you know, I was driving on take a bong hit, you know, he's all, dude, don't do it, bro. I'm like, no, I gotta try it because it's like a hip thing, you know. And he's all, no, dude. I won't say what he said, but he's like, you know, he was like, really, he's calling me some names, making fun of me hard, you know.
And anyway, losing your soul.
I started to take the hit, you know, hot rod hit like I just did, and when I started to inhale, my throat wouldn't even let it go down. I couldn't even inhale it. It wouldn't even like allow it, you know. And I was just like, that's trippy, yo. He's like
defense mechanism. That's a trip. Wow.
I mean, so like for me, you know, Eugene's like, you know, I grew hydro like a chem kind of style for a few months in Eugene, you know, back in the day.
The way it was, everyone was doing it.
I did it in like 99. Well, just because I moved in with a friend and we had to grow together, you know, and that was his style already. So I just, you know, I didn't want to like force my style on there. So we just grew a little section of a OG for the head. And then like the rest was just like, you know.
I learned about that kind of like 2001. I moved back up to Alaska, to the valley, to the Matanuska Valley. And I had a good friend who lives in this little town called Sutton. Okay. And this is where Matanuska Thunder supposedly came from. But he told me a little story. He'd been there so long, he's like 7 years old. He said that there's no actual strain bred, no cultivar bred to be that. It was just whatever was good that was floating around the valley was Matanuska Thunderfuck. So it could have been anything. They'd call it Matanuska Thunderfuck. But he taught me a lot back in 2000 about composting. He used compost. He's an all-natural organic guy. And this was in Alaska, you know, and then he's growing indoors 6 plants as fast as he can. And it was really interesting. You know, you take the eggshells, all the shit, you know, and he's showing me how to do the compost. And I was like, yeah, it's the same thing my mom used to do. And I had no idea when I was 7 years old. I didn't even think about it. You know, my mom used to do the compost thing. But he really taught me about, you know, the organic part of the stuff. Is like, yeah, I can't smoke, you know, this guy's weed or this guy's weed because the same reasons, John. He'd be like, I can't even choke it down, you know, can't even get it to.
And then the headache that ensues after, you're just like, fuck, bro.
And they were making, you know, bubble hash and stuff long before anybody else was, I think, back.
So, you know, and John, if you want to shout out anybody that you do like to smoke, growers that you respect, feel free to share, man.
I don't smoke other people's weed, bro.
No. All right.
Well, that's nice. I mean,
fair enough.
I mean, you're fortunate.
I mean, my growers are sick, and like my buddy Rev, you know, like Rev Diablo and Sano, Michael, he grows some chronic, and he's, you know, doing some organic stuff, and I'll smoke his herb and like, you know, but things like that. I'd smoke like Russ Brandon's herb, something like that, you know, like, but I just don't smoke other people's herb, you know.
I was just always been a big
stuff that works for you. I totally get that.
I have enough strains and enough things going on, and there's no reason for me to smoke. I know the people growing for me and like how kind-hearted and fucking awesome people they are. So it's like, why would I want to? It doesn't make sense, you know. Someone gave me some herb. It's so funny. Nelson Poetry for Plants gave me some herb at the Emerald Cup. Gave me some of these like ratty ass chem, you know, whatever, like, you know, space nerd pellet grown weed, you know. And I was just like, well, whatever, you know. So funny, you know.
How many active cultivars do you have on the market here in Oregon?
I'm holding a lot of genetics, man, but right now I think we're just, you know, rocking 10 strains or so, 15 strains, but depends, you know, on what's happening, when we're doing it, you know.
Yeah, when I see it pop up at OF and at Oregon Spinus and a couple of places, I try to grab some when it's there.
We've been doing this collab. We got releasing with Bonsai, a big like hash pre-roll collab and stuff. So that's where kind of things have been going and everything, just prepping for that and getting stuff together, got a lot of seeds getting ready to release on the market and stuff. So that's really nice.
How is that side of things? Because Matt and I, we were going to have a show on home growing not too long ago. But our guests had to cancel, so we had to kind of flip and go a different direction.
Pivot.
Yeah, we had to pivot, but we were really, really wanted to get on this kick of encouraging people to grow at home and try to grow your own and, screw all the decorative crap. Like build a garden, plant a row for hunger, basically is how we were putting it. But we want to push people to grow their own. How is that side of the market? Because I know when I was intake manager and all that stuff,
it's legal.
Seeds, it was great, but people would come in for certain seeds. They would come in just for that, and it blew my mind because at the time I thought, oh, everybody just wants to smoke the weed, but then these guys started coming in. They went looking for hunting for certain things, and different prices. You could buy seeds for $25 or for $225. There was a big range of prices for genetics.
Right.
How do you see that side of the market right now? Are a lot of people buying seeds?
I mean, I think it's a really cool part of the market just because, like imagine, weed's legal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can grow whatever you want, basically. Yeah. And you have a male, and you imagine just 4-6 plants that you pollinate, right? You get so many seeds, like a nobody that like you can make by getting certain elite cuts that's really easy to get, and then you just get something you want, make boom, you're like, next thing you know, you got 10,000 seeds, 15, 20,000 seeds, wow. Like that. Wow. And that's, imagine how many possibilities that are. So I'm like, I think everyone should do that. I think everyone should start a seed selling company. I think everyone should grow 20 times more plants than they're supposed to, and they're fucking everywhere. I don't give a shit. Sleep in your kitchen. Yeah. I think everybody should do that because I think the system's stupid, and I don't like the whole setup, and I don't like the prices people have to pay, and I don't like the mids they're buying everywhere because even the most chronic herb sitting under some fluorescent lights and all in the light, and people doing this shit and shaking it, and the bud tender is fuck, man, that happens one day, the weed's lame, in my opinion. So, and that happens every day in every dispensary all over Oregon.
How about those models where they're pre-packing everything?
I think that's cool.
Putting a little disc in there. I bought some weed, and there was a little disc inside, and
a little ceramic disc.
Fresh, help keep it fresh. I can't remember what it's called, but
I'm not sure about the disc thing. But I'm, I like to have weed pre-packed. It's better, I think, personally. But
yeah, I don't mind pre-packed.
It just depends on how and who and what they're doing. We're gonna pre-pack stuff, but it's gonna be in a nice jar, the whole thing.
Right.
I know Amazon Organics and
Bonita Pack. That's what it's called, Bonita Pack or whatever.
Bevitas. I'm not into those, bro.
Everything.
It's like a boof pack, dude. Those are like a terp absorber.
Yep, the terp sponge.
The terp sponge, bro.
The terp sponge.
So John, you actually, I've been to a dispensary of yours in Multnomah Village way back in the day. That was my favorite place to go to, and god damn it, I miss that place. The bud tenders were amazing. The selection, I had a Gorilla Glue 12 or 24, I don't remember what the hell it was. It was just shit that I have never even seen before, and I was in the industry at the time. You had a great spot out there, man. I really miss that.
Yeah, man, thank you. It was a good one, but
medical day.
I learned a lot of lessons with that one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a good experience.
That's a good way to learn, though. Good way to learn, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was the only organic dispensary in the nation ever, I think.
Yeah, and you didn't cross into that recreational field. You stayed medical for as long as you were open.
Yeah, and then I was just bowed out,
Well, you saw the environment. It wasn't very friendly to the operators, I think.
Well, that time was not that good, and so we chose to opt out for a while and wait till we can get cheap permits and get in cheap, instead of getting in like it was then.
Yeah, so expensive.
A while back, a few years ago, I've tried many of your cultivars, if you will, strains. I was at Movement Distribution over there at Oregon's Finest, and you had a strain then. I want to say it was called Tora Bora.
Oh yeah, my friend gave me that strain.
It was really peppery. It was like peppery.
It was so weird.
It's weird, but it was like cool.
It was like a land race of some sort. I don't know really, but it was like really weird, trippy.
Yeah. So I
mean,
mean,
unique smell.
Stocked up on that one for a long time, and then I never saw it again. But how often do you do that? You find something that maybe you want to keep around, but you don't do it too often, and you just do it once in a while, or is there anything that you just say, look, okay, that one just didn't do it?
There's a lot of stuff that just doesn't do it. Most actually, out of all the selections that happen, like honestly, what's really strange to me is like the Tenzin Kush is like one of the best strains I've bred.
I love the Tenzin, yeah.
And it was like an accident kind of selection, with 3 made it out of we had a really it was like during the summer and it got really hot in the zone, and everything died except these three made it, and that's how. And it was the 3, the 4, or the 2, the 2, the 3, and the 5 made it, and all of them were really good. But what I found is all of them are really good out of that cross, like every single one that was popped was good. And so that's why I'm going to start some males or find some males of those, and then also find some males in GMO Ancient and do a couple lines with those,
Gotcha.
Just because those are really, really nice.
Well, we got about 15 minutes left to go here in the podcast. So right now it's time for our favorite weekly segment. So I like to indulge in cannabis, and I like to eat too, but I've been really laying off anything junky lately. How about you, Matt?
Oh no, I've been eating junk food.
You get the hardcore munchies. Oh, we lost John there he is. Yeah, I get the hardcore munchies, but lately I've been going to a couple of different alternatives. Instead of regular old ice cream, I've been doing this rice-based ice cream, which has been pretty good. It's not too fatty, but it's not too bad. But I've been shunning the junk food, so I'm trying to live a better life and eat a little better, and try to do things a little better. But that, and also what's really got me lately is fucking sliced fucking mangoes. Mangoes are just, I'm into it. I can't get enough.
You got Mercenine and mangoes, man. That's supposed to kind of boost your high a little bit. So I get that.
Celery lately too.
I don't know if it actually works or not, but
but other than that, maybe I snagged a candy bar one day somewhere along the way. I still can't give up my junk food. It's kind of tough. But Matt, what about you? What have you been munching on?
If I always get my choice, I just love popcorn. Popcorn's my thing. I don't know if it's really junk food or not. It's probably
what are you, 70, bro?
Yeah, right. It's my thing.
Popcorn.
Every once in a while, that's a popcorn job.
Pitch up for me in the pitch. Hey. Yeah. What about you, John? What about you, John? We make audience guest participation a priority around here. What do you go? What's your go-to when you kind of got the hankering for something?
I'm always an ice cream guy, man. I don't eat during the day, so I only eat once a day usually. I fast all day.
Okay, yeah.
I'll have tea with heavy cream in it, like a chai that I make with heavy cream, or coffee with heavy cream, and then I'll eat around 7 or 8 or whenever. And I eat whatever I want. Try to do all organic if I'm cooking at home and everything, free range everything. But if I'm gonna eat, I just usually eat ice cream, or whatever I want, and it's all usually I go all organic. So, cool. But I'm I'm half Korean, so our lineage is up into Mongolia, and Mongolia has a special ability of processing all the animal proteins out of animal fat and milk. So it's and I have I think 7% body fat or something.
Dude. Well, I always like to dive into that a little bit. We still have a little bit of time left for the show, but Munchies is always kind of a thing that, I'm on the lookout. I watch marketing like crazy. I see places like these fast food joints like Jack in the Box. They come up with the Munchies meals, and it's only from like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. or some shit like that. And it's 5,000 calories per meal. And it's, I watch these kinds of things, and they're definitely
Poison.
marketing to cannabis users to some degree.
I saw something in the news I wanted to talk about
go ahead.
a little bit. December of this year, we're actually going to be on track to start this psilocybin therapy. The mushroom thing's going to start up.
Sick.
And I'm kind of curious on what you guys might think about. Is this a path to dispensaries doing mushrooms, or is this going to stay in the medical line? Or
I think it's going to go huge, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Imagine, dude. Imagine, like, that's where we're at these days,
I tried doing mushrooms. I tried doing mushrooms and to quit smoking, and that didn't help because I smoked my ass off. So I definitely get the whole therapy side.
Smoking cigs, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I was
like, man, I love to smoke weed and mushrooms, bro. It's like all day, every day thing.
I was trying to quit smoking cigarettes, and I just kept on smoking more of them. So that was
But you've been nicotine free
wrong idea
now, though, right?
Oh, I've been for a year now, actually. Today, the 21st or the 22nd is going to be 1 year nicotine free. Just totally,
Sick.
I'm done with it now.
I'm waiting for somebody to develop weed chewing tobacco. Weed chew. I need weed chew because I got off the tobacco horse a long time ago. And I've always just like, man, I wish I could have a big old dip of weed in my lip instead of tobacco. That'd be nice.
You can, bro.
I know, but I need someone to process it and make it, palatable. Make it like, snap the can and put it in your lip type of thing. Because I've battled that shit for years. It took me 5 years to on and off.
Strip of weed, so I'm sure they can figure it out.
There you go. There's an idea for somebody. Make some weed, chew. Weed dip, if you will.
Stuff they're coming out with now, man. Do you remember the inhaler?
All this shit. Inhalers, those were terrible.
Those are horrible.
Man, people just need to smoke joints, dude. This is like too much. Or do smoke hash or whatever. All these like designer techs are like stupid.
Yeah, I walked. Where was I? Chicago. Matt. I told Matt this story, and I went into a dispensary there, and it was like liquid drops and cartridges, and there was no fucking weed.
Everyone's scared to
smoke
like, weed, bro.
Yeah, there's
like,
no weed in
up,
the dispensary. It's all chemical cartridges, bullshit. There's no weed. And I was glad I brought my own because I was just like, man, I almost didn't because I wanted to just have the experience, but I'm glad I didn't. I almost got in trouble in Wisconsin for smoking weed in public because I didn't realize where I was.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. It's like, Wisconsin's illegal, but Illinois is legal, so be careful.
You can smoke it. You can smoke weed almost everywhere if you're not looking like a stoner guy,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like hit my vape pen on the plane, like whatever. You don't just blow it into the old lady's lap underneath,
Yeah, I hit my. I smoked my vape pen at the airport, in the bathroom. Nobody gives a shit. So it's like
one time I was actually
on the plane.
I accidentally thought I was hitting my nicotine vape, but I hit my weed pen, and the stewardess walked by, and I'm just holding it and looking at her, and she walked past me, and I blew it all out.
On the plane.
Whole fog. Oh yeah, the whole plane smelled like weed for like 30 seconds, and then it just went away. But I was like, oh fuck.
Dude, back in the day, I was like, I had a bunch of vape pens in Peru. When we were flying up to northern Peru to go surfing. I had my teacher, my first teacher with me. I was taking him on a surf trip. And like I kept hitting the vape pen. Just blowing. I hear this fucking John, what are you doing? I said, what? I turned back. And my teacher's like looking at me like freaking out. He's all, the whole fucking plane is smoking. Fucking stop. It's so fucking freaking.
That's probably the most mellow flight they ever had.
Yeah, I don't. My kids didn't even realize that back in the day you could have smoking and non-smoking on the plane. You know, you could choose to be in the smoking section, which was just a curtain that separated you from them. And now you know you can't smoke at all on planes.
Well, in India, dude, they got those old planes. That's what their planes are. Those ones ashtrays in the fucking arm. See, you're like, this plane's old.
No doubt. Well, we got about 7 minutes left. What's next, John? What's on your agenda for this year? Do you got plans and anything like that? Got any trips to go see the Dalai Lama? I love those pictures when you post those, man.
I wish, man.
My heart is going, you know.
I don't know if people are going to be able to see him, or I don't know if he's going to be giving live teachings anymore, you know. So yeah, but you know, we're out at the monastery a lot. The library learning center is breaking ground this I think in April or May. So we've got not all the funding needed, but like enough to get it rocking, and it's going to be a huge project. And that's where all the, you know, we have so many special things that are going to be there, from artifacts, special things made, you know, different statues, all the relics of His Holiness's previous. It's like really
and all
the teachings.
Where's it at?
In Ithaca, New York.
Ithaca.
So we got a lot of stuff kicking off out there. We're going to be having grows out there and stuff too, really rocking the New York market hard. And that's why we've been going out there a lot. That's been really fun. Got a lot of stuff going on in Peru. We're going to get ready. We're working with the legislation down there right now and working with our team down there. So we got to, you know, be starting a bunch of like grow stores, grow tech things, medical stuff. Yeah, totally. We got 1,000 acres up in the Sacred Valley of Peru there that's getting kicked off in the next couple of years. Big, huge project there. So basically Green Bodhi International coming out of the Sacred Valley of Peru kind of vibe. So yeah, it's I mean, a lot of family connects there making that shit happen, you know. So it's you know, my first teacher, now my, you know, like my brother, my best friend lives down there, and you know, there's a lot of things happening down there, and we're right in the start of it. But I think we were the ones that brought chronic genetics to Peru. So, you know, when you do that, spend 20 years loking out there with, you know, a lot of the professional surf community and this kind of reality, I guess it builds something, you know. So we're taking advantage of that fully. That's going to be really fun. And then got a bunch of other stuff getting kicked off too. So that's awesome. Heading back to Peru, I think on the 1st of February for a couple of weeks.
That's a long flight.
It's not that bad, you know.
Anytime
India is a long flight, man.
Yeah, anytime you got to wear a mask for 13 hours or 10 hours or whatever, that's a long time.
Yeah, I just wear a piece of shit mask.
Edibles.
Funny, they had COVID going around Peru really hard, you know. It's like that the Omicron thing, you know, and nobody gives a shit, you know. It's like
I got a cold.
You know? Yeah, I got it right when I got there, and I was like, oh, got a cold.
Yeah. I got
everyone is still taking. Everyone is still.
That was clear.
Everyone is still taking bong hits together. They didn't give a fuck, you know. It's like a rich person COVID, you know. We still all do it like normal.
So things in Oregon, people can find your cannabis at several dispensaries, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we're only working with really a few because we've kind of hand selected the ones that we like and ones we want to work with. You know, Amazon Organics is big. They're a huge friend of ours. Out in Kindleaf and Pendleton, Fire, Tokyo. You know, Oregon's finest, Portland spot.
That's where I usually pick it up because you know, we're up here, so that's usually where I pick up your stuff. Any Tenzin coming soon? Tenzin Kush?
No, we're bringing it in this next roll. We kind of focused on some other genetics this time and stuff. Some you know, that GMO Ancient, some GMO LA Kush Cake, purple Hindu Kush, Voyager. Those are Zen cookies. Those are kind of what we focused on this time, and got a bunch of new stuff coming too. And
nice.
Yeah, man.
Any names on the new stuff coming? Any strain names?
Just some Gary Payton, some cookie stuff, and I think that might be the only one. And rocking some PHK, some of our own crosses and stuff that we're rolling through. Just, you know.
I always look forward to seeing what you guys put out. So yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's like, I need some weed. I need some weed.
Some good weed, man. Shit.
So they can find you on Instagram, website.
Yeah, Green Bodhi and Green Bodhi Genetics on Instagram, and then I've really been rocking the Green Bodhi genetics page more, just kind of boosting that one up because, you know, I don't know, you know how it goes on IG.
You gotta build
got to do the thing. And then greenbodhi.org is our website. And also we got a big well project that we're doing too. It's Wells of Dharma project. We're basically putting all these wells in around the city of Bodh Gaya in India. I think we're up on the 44th one we're putting in now. So
awesome.
That's a pretty cool project we've been doing. It's getting a lot of buzz and, you know, helping a lot of people and stuff. So
yeah, I like the way you guys do stuff, you know, to help other things. And I like the way you get away from the greed thing, you know, that just bothers me so much. I see it so much nowadays, and you know, the flash and all that stuff. I've had enough.
Yeah, no, I don't need that watch, bro. You
yeah,
know, like I'm
good.
And we didn't get into this for money or, you know, we'd be doing it in a different style. You know, I've had quite a few meltdowns with different types of psychedelics with this plant and had made certain commitments in those like death journeys, you know. So
enough of that.
Right.
Matt, hey Matt, you got anything?
That's why I grow organic and don't do this for the money.
Matt, you got anything else before we start to wrap it up for today?
No, man, I'm good. I've just been enjoying this conversation.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, John, I appreciate you taking some time out. We had to do a little quick reschedule, but we appreciate you taking time out and sitting and chatting with us. You know, we try to keep it loose on this program. We just like to chat about what we're interested in, and we do appreciate you and the work that you do for sure.
Thank you so much. Really, always an honor, and really take a lot of pleasure in just sharing. And it's really cool. I really appreciate you guys having me on. So thank you.
Thanks for all you do, and just keep doing it, man.
We'll just try to keep being real.
That's it.
Keep it going.
All right.
For the right reasons.
That's going to do it for the Old Stoneys podcast this time around. Make sure you go to talkcastpdx.com and check out all the past episodes or wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple, wherever. And check us out on aftermath.fm. And we thank everybody who helps make this program possible. John Bays from Green Bodhi, thank you so much. And then, of course, myself, Justin McDonald, along with Matt Crisione. Until next time, folks, keep on smoking. BudTenderShirts.com has all the crazy fun and cool shirts you could possibly want. You want a cannabis-themed shirt? We got them for you. Want one about shrooms? Got that too. Want something that's just plain old stupidly funny? We have it all. BudTenderShirts.com. That's BudTenderShirts.com. Get a shirt and funk and go nuts. BudTenderShirts.com. And now we have socks. Buy it now. BudTenderShirts.com. That's BudTenderShirts.com. Funk and go nuts. Old Stoneys. Shroom shroom doom. It's BudTenderShirts.com. Buy a cool shirt today. BudTenderShirts.com. Help a stoner today. BudTenderShirts.com.